just kind of talk about preparations for Clemson now that you're kind of really focusing on game day.
Well, it's a lot of work. They do so much offensively, formations, and not as much personnel, but enough personnel issues during the game, and with a fast-paced offense, the way they can substitute and get on the line of scrimmage on you quickly. It's it's tough. It's tough. So we're going to have great concentration and great week of preparation in terms of getting ready.
How much in the NFL did you see anything similar to what they do?
A couple of years ago, when the Wildcat was, kind of catching on, started with the Dolphins, and so, weekly it seemed like we were preparing for something similar to, what we're seeing, not to the extent of what Gus did here and what they're doing at Clemson.
Has it been helpful to you that a lot of guys here are familiar with what Gus does, obviously? A little bit. I've really kind of challenged myself to get a good grip on it, since you're going to see it through the year, at least different series of it. So I think it was important to kind of get my head around it and try to fit what we do schematically so it makes sense for the players and handle the offense.
You got some starters from last year who were in reserve roles, even if they will see the field. I mean, the starting 11 on that depth chart, does that fit your scheme the way you want them to?
I think that, I think I need to wait, to answer that and really get a good, make a better judgment anyway. I've been away from the college game a long time, so I'm anxious Saturday night to see, the speed of it, the execution level, and those things. So my concentration's really been on the players that we have, trying to get them better each and every day in a lot of different areas, even in respects to in the classroom and preparing and doing those things. So, obviously we're going to compete to win the game, and at the same time I'm really interested to see, our guys perform, and think later I'll be able to answer that question a little bit better, more accurately.
I was talking about Trent Fisher was kind of a surprise to us on the depth chart a little bit, just kind of what he did to get that job, or get,
Trent's a smart player, and does a good job in terms of preparation. It's important to him, so he's earned trust from the coaches, and we feel confident that if he's in there, that he can operate our defense, which is very important at the linebacker positions and the safety positions. There's a lot of communication that they're called upon, to use during the game.
You talked about Sharman Bell, guy who had a pretty serious surgery in November.
Yeah, a lot of respect for him. Just amazing that he's back and as healthy as he is. It's remarkable. I haven't seen that very many times where a guy can come back that quickly, and he certainly adds a maturity to our defense and a confidence, and with some young guys, he's there to help them along. So he's been a real pleasant surprise for us here during training camp and leading up into game week.
Did Robinson Therese being hurt and missing some time, that set him back?
Yeah, sure did. Yeah, it's hard for a player that's in the developmental process again, to miss time like he did. And that's part of the game, and now he's got to continue to work and get himself back into a position where he's competing to play.
What about your kind of plans at the nickel? We talked about, T-Bell in there, maybe Chris Davis. Have you got to kind of narrow down what you?
Yeah, we kind of settled on, Chris and Mintz, Mincy in there. Those two will handle the nickel position going into the first game.
When Chris moves over to nickel, who would come in that corner?
Again, we're still looking at that right now. Mincy and T-Bell would be the two guys that, we're kind of keeping that open through the week, to see. But, T's been running with our first group and, has done a pretty good job. So, but we'll keep that active all week long.
That's what you said, make sure I understand. So that's a Chris plays nickel, right?
Correct.
But if you put Vince in nickel, then everything else I assume stays.
Yeah, well, Chris is our nickel, so.
Okay.
you know, if something happened to him, then, you know, we'd move mints in. But
one of the big questions of the offseason was how are guys going to transition into the new systems? Now that you have the full scope of the offseason, the preseason, how do you think your players have kind of bought into what you've brought here?
I think they've made progress. Still a long, you know, road ahead. And I think that, you know, my vision for the season is really to see them continue to get better and improve, you know. We've got to play Saturday night, so again, it's going to be interesting for everybody just to see exactly where we are. I anticipate, you know, a lot of things in respects to, again, some of those players that are working through the process and trying to gain a comfort in being able to play big time ball in a big game like this. So again, just anxious to see it, but you know, we've got a lot of room for a lot of improvement right now.
Has there been any seminal moment that you've seen where you feel like guys kind of turned a corner, or their eyes kind of, you know, cleared up, they finally got what you were,
You know, a little bit, nothing, you know, major. You know, it's just been steps by a lot of guys. You know, we've got a lot of ascending players right now, and now it's a question of, you know, fill a stadium up with 75, 80,000 and play against a very good team, and let's see how they handle the different ebbs and flows of the game and how they respond to some of the tough times that they'll be faced with Saturday night. Never been in a game with them to know, so you know, that's just part of the deal. And again, very anxious to see them and watch them perform and handle.
It seems like you're very much
situations.
in a wait and see mode right now. I mean, how much game time, how many weeks do you think it'll take for you to, what's your expectation for when you're going to really know what you've got there?
Well, I think that's the value of playing Clemson in the first game. I mean, I think that we'll at least have an idea of where we are against a team of that caliber right now, and then, you know, we'll be able to compare it as we move on in our growth. But you know, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
Is the Enrique situation similar to Robinson Freeze's?
Yes.
Just missed too much time as
Yeah,
well?
yeah, he just missed a lot of time. Yeah.
How hard is it for those guys once the season starts to move up if they're not playing?
It's hard, you know, it's hard. So, you know, they've got to do the extra things on their own and study and involve themselves in the classroom. And then when they get their opportunity, they've got to have good reps and hopefully productive reps. You know, the other thing, you know, most of those guys are going to be involved in our special teams, so you know, they can make impressions there, and they just have to battle through it. It's one of those unfortunate things, you know, when you're injured that take place.
Can you talk about communication on defense? It's probably going to be pretty loud for Saturday night.
Yeah, it's going to be, you know, very interesting, and you know, that's been one of the issues with our guys, is really getting them to communicate in a way that the whole defense can understand and collectively execute. You know, we just haven't been as loud as we need to be, and of course we've got hand signals and things to one another that are going to be very important and vital in this game, being that we're in a dome with you know, 80,000 people. So that's one of the tests. You know, that's one of the important things that's going to take place, is how well we can communicate. You got a lot of movement, a lot of formation change, a lot of things going on. So it's testy.
Jermaine talked today that some of the guys might have to hold you back emotionally on Saturday. What's it going to be like on that sideline?
That's their day. You know, that's players' day. You know, my work, you know, through the week, I feel like, you know, the game's about players, not to take anything away from, you know, coaching. You know, but a coach's got to stay dialed in, and from a strategic standpoint, call the game. But players got to go out and play. You know, we talk about communications and execution and all of that. It's their time Saturday night, so I'll try to stay calm.
Can you talk about what Ashton Richardson brings to have gotten that position as a backup mind?
Yes, smart player, and he's probably at the top, you know, one of the top guys in respects to movement skills that we have, but, you know, very intelligent player.
Is Casanova a candidate to redshirt?
I don't know. You know, you have to talk with Coach Chiswick, you know, in terms of down the road, you know, how we'll handle that. There's a lot of things involved, and it's a long season. So, you know, right now we're talking about a player that has really, really good physical traits, that's learning the game, but those physical traits are obvious. So, again, it's a long season, and that's one that I'm sure staff-wise we'll have a lot of talk about moving forward.
You had talked earlier about Halsey and Jonathan Jones. Are they in the picture at all?
Could be. You know, could be. We're trying to keep them solid in respects to game plan and our strategies and such going into the game. But you know, again, you've got to anticipate down the road the health of your team, and we know in the sport of football that. To think that you're going to stay healthy all year is not a wise way to approach things. So, you know, we've got a number of those freshmen that are kind of on the fringe. They're good players. They've got some really good physical trait. They're still learning. And like I said, they've got to stay with us in the classroom, stay with the game plan, strategies of the game, and keep them sharp in mind. But probably it's just too early to talk about, you know, those guys right now, I think.
Brian, it sounds like you're going to have a lot of guys on your front four where you can just kind of substitute and keep them fresh. What would be a long tour, in your mind? I mean, 10 plays, 5 plays?
I think that, you know, once you get up, it's especially in an emotional game, and again, the pace of this game is really unique, you know. So once a player is up around 5, 6 plays as a defensive lineman, if he's playing the way you really want him to play in respects to running to the football, and no huddle, you know, you'd like to be able to transition defensive linemen, you know, 5, 6 plays into a drive. Now, again, the no huddle kind of prevents some of that. So that's, again, one of the real strategies of this game is how you keep guys fresh. So, again, that's part of, you know, the evaluation that we were talking about before. There's going to be some tough moments. Guy might be in there for, you know, 8, 9 straight plays, and we've got to see. You know, we've got to judge our mental toughness in respects to those kinds of situations.
They have to, if they substitute, they have to let you substitute.
That's correct.
But if they don't substitute, then they can just run and go.
Yeah, they can snap it as we're trying to, you know, run personnel on the field. So, yeah, it's one of the tough chores when you're playing a team like Clemson, no little team like that.
How much adjustment has it been for you? As opposed to, last year you got guys coming to work in the morning and they're at work all day, as opposed to now having guys that you got to go to class and do all the other things college players have to do.
You know, it's an adjustment. You know, it's an adjustment, and I think the responsibilities that you know go on with the coaches in respects to you know, them being students and, you know, socially. All of that enters into, you know, our profession. So, again, I'm used to being locked in a room and detailing football, and then all of a sudden we're dealing with this or dealing with that in respects to the student athlete, and that's been a little bit frustrating, you know, for me. A little bit frustrating here and there, but you know, not to the extent that, you know, I feel like it's any reason to compromise our preparations and what we're doing. But a little bit of adjustment needed there. Shelley waiting for me after practices. Still adjusting to that. All right, everyone. Thank you.